Okay, we're live, guys. Coming to you from San Francisco, California, it's time for Zig in the Zone with Ralph, Zig, Tycho.
I am back with Paulie B.
Do you believe it?
This is cool.
Isn't
in
it?
the studio, I think it's 2 weeks in a row,
I know.
and I get to fraternize with my bud.
Right? Good to see you.
And good to see you. And I must admit that the remote thing is not as much fun as taking a day to be a podcaster and a professional podcaster. And with the producer face to face. And we have some terrific ideas aside my podcast. Paulie and I have some terrific ideas in making me a marketing rep to do
the Lord's work. I like to think.
I like to think it.
I like to think he's doing the Lord's work out there.
Yeah, that's funny in itself. That people could think there is a Lord, and then
and I'm the Lord of this manor.
Right, and we are all. I make light of it, but my philosophy is we are all our own gods, and to be worshipped by worshiping ourselves. And don't pay money to have people tell you how to do it. You can do it in any way, but keep the spirituality in it. And don't fool yourself into thinking that buying a Bible book is much more important than buying a science book.
Right.
And, you could have a Bible book for when you want to just get a few laughs out of some of the hypocrisy and the craziness in it. And don't buy a book, because science changes from moment to moment.
Oh, yeah.
Get an internet connection and pick up on it. You don't have to go out and buy a science book, literally. But listen,
we try to make it easy as possible. If you can talk, have a video chat on a phone call, you can do a podcast with us here at Ed Studios. And so you're right. It's different when you're outside the studio. It's always better to be in the studio, but a lot of people don't have that flexibility, that ease to be able to do it. Some people are remote. Our guest today is actually in Florida, where we're able to talk to him seamlessly. Well, we'd like to say it seamlessly.
Hey, Robert Cole is a Renaissance man, and I'm going to talk to him today about Angel Hernandez up and quitting, or fired, or whatever.
Right.
And he is the worst umpire in Major League history. And in my way of thinking, Joe West came to his defense. He's the second worst umpire in Major League history, coming to the defense of really an incompetent person, because you could see it on the screen, and you could see it in the way players reacted to him.
Right.
And it just goes to show you, sometimes the unions are strong to the detriment of even themselves. And we're going to talk to Robert about that. We're going to talk to Robert, too, about, he and I are both Met fans, so there's certain amount of bittersweetness to life itself.
So you're both struck with the same affliction.
It isn't.
I love you guys. You know I love you.
But
we're the same thing here in the Bay Area.
But the affliction is loyalty. So
it is.
It's not really an affliction. And we have taken the good, the great. We've taken the best season in baseball history, or the best result the '69 Mets. They
Right.
came up from being a perennial loser. Gil Hodges led them to places. So it isn't all suffering. But Robert Cole will talk about. He and I both are 77, and we talk on, certainly off the air, on many different levels on the internet messages, and we both agreed that he, Marty, and I, the Met fandom on Comfortably Zoned,
Right.
are all 77 years old. And we have reached our life expectancy.
Oh no, you're
Well, that's good.
you're like milk that's about to curdle. What's going on?
Well, we're all about to curdle. No question about that. Don't fool ourselves. But we, in reaching our life expectancy, there's a certain amount of satisfaction, and everything else is is gravy. Mert, for instance, who's been very sick, he got to witness his, because I saw videos on Facebook, he
Right.
got to witness his little daughter in a concert where she is so precocious,
Mhm.
so cute.
Right.
Um, the extent of her talent, I don't know. I don't know what's when
But the
you
cuteness
find
outshines it all. At that
you know,
age,
it's all. And he got to be 77, his
right?
life expectancy. And for whatever it's worth, he got to experience a granddaughter at a certain age. So we all have a lot to be grateful for. You know what? I got it. Let's bring Robert on right now. He's been listening.
All right. So joining us from Florida,
Robert Cole, who is a Renaissance man, a professional umpire himself. But let's start with the part about. I'm going to congratulate you, Robert, and Marty listening, and everybody else who has the peace of mind to know that we were expected to live this long, and we did. Wow, how few people always do. Some live too long, some die too soon. It's a crazy world based on a bunch of luck, a bunch of gene pool that you have no control over. So I rambled a lot. We'll talk about our project, Paulie.
absolutely.
But let's
We got Robert Cole joining us. So
yeah. So are you on, Robert? Can you hear this shit?
Yes, I can.
All right. Respond if you would on some level, whatever you're feeling.
Okay. First of all, okay, I'm only 76. I'll be
oh,
77
Oh.
next month.
Well, next month we will have
Yes.
a party. When and if.
Secondly,
You know how it is. You know how life is. We lose people. People on the internet. Peter Cole, Peter Trunk, and Claire were bemoaning the loss of our good friend Ronnie Rabinovich, who didn't make it to the age that we are. Life is what it is, and we have to get the most out of almost every day. Some days it's just impossible, but for the most part, realize that just being alive is pretty damn cool.
and that's why we're signing Ralph up for Dancing with the Stars next season. Because it's either next season or he's never going to do it. We're going to get him on Dancing with the Stars.
I'm going to do it. It could be when I'm 80. It could be when I'm 90. Never say never.
Yeah, you were born with those two left feet, so I want you to exploit the hell out of it.
I'll tell you what, I get along really well on my feet. Walking, trotting, going up and making sharp turns. I cannot go up and down stairs.
Yeah, I was going to say you do stairs like Biden.
I do stairs like Helen Keller. And it's not funny.
You read each step like it's like Braille, huh? Okay.
It's almost like Braille. It isn't the vision part, it's just the judgment part. And I have to admit, I imbibe in a shitload full of cannabis on a daily basis. That's why all I drive my car is for alternate street parking. Really, truthfully, and I don't want to be out there at the risk of the world out there. I have to keep the driver's license and soon I will find a driver.
A driver.
Yeah.
It'll be like, instead of driving Miss Daisy, it will be driving Mr. Crazy.
Driving the old schmuck around. He's
okay. So we're gonna ask Robert this. So I'm 58. You guys are 76 and 77 collectively.
A baby.
A baby. A babe in arms. Sure. Okay. Blow smoke up my. All right. So here we go. But I told myself at 40 years old, I think it was 40, 41, is that the warranty ran out on this thing I call a body. It started with reader glasses. Now I'm on progressive trifocal, whatever they are, digital, whatever they are. But it started off with that. And then I had, let me see, they stripped a vein in my left leg. I lost a whole bunch of nerve damage in my right leg. I have to wear compression socks. I have bad knees, so I wear a brace on at least one of them a day. Let me see here. The bald spot, the extra rotund belly. You know, I guess what they say is the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, if you will. So at 40, my warranty started running out, and I should start collecting insurance money for this stuff. But what have you guys noticed getting older? Like you said, I'm a babe, I guess. What did you notice after these little things I'm quirking? I'm saying I'm basically a $6 million man, but I'm slower, fatter, not stronger, that kind of thing. What have you noticed? Go to you first, Ralph. Then
like I say, getting up and down stairs. I get at the library. It's almost like this. I'm this old man, but I'll walk around the streets of Alameda, going from the bridges to the ocean, to the bird sanctuary, to my park, and back and forth for hours. I just cannot get up and down stairs comfortably. I can't get on and off the bus comfortably. That's all.
So is it a knee thing?
No, it's just, it's almost like I smoke enough dope that I am physically intoxicated.
No way. Stop it. Quit.
Oh, really?
Now, for you kids at home, this is a PSA.
Do not try this at home unless you want your mind to be at ease and you have a little trouble getting up and down the bus.
This is a cautionary tale, folks. When we started this podcast, he was 36 years old.
Right.
And so I just want you to know.
I'm 70. In my head, I'm 50.
And you're ahead, I'll tell you.
I am ahead. That's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard.
Yeah, that's the most ridiculous. Yeah, there you go. You need little Groucho glasses and a mustache and a stogie. Okay.
What we need is Robert Cole.
Right over to you. What are you thinking? What's going on? What happened? Where did your body
We've rambled at you a lot. Getting your reaction, including the umpire thing, would be great, and we will shut the fuck up.
I won't believe it.
Well, okay, going with Angel Hernandez. He was the worst thing that ever happened to umpiring. Why he lasted this long, I don't know. You know, they have hours of videotape of bad calls that he's made. You could probably do a year worth of bad calls that he's made. And he's out the door and good riddance. And then you mentioned Joe West, Cowboy Joe West, who probably sang country songs better than he umpired. But
he would have to have. Go ahead.
What was that, Ralph?
I said he would have to have.
Oh yeah, and also he was a movie star. Okay, so in The Naked Gun, if you remember that, his famous scene in that.
I do come to think of it. I hadn't thought about it in a long time, but thinking about Joe West is not something that I think about generally. He paled
You don't go to
in
bed.
comparison to Angel Hernandez's ineptitude. Let's put it that way. He would piss
Well,
in a ball game. He would piss both sides off equally, and they'd be genuinely and justifiably angry. I think it was a union thing, and they could not fire him beyond a certain
he
point. And when that point
okay.
came, he was gone. Boom. What do you think to that?
He was actually using his ethnicity.
Oh, really?
Okay, yes, and they were. I think they were afraid to fire him for the longest time, and
Ah,
and then all of a sudden he quit. And I guess he was told that he no longer had that kind of protection, and he
wow.
had a lawsuit.
I
He had a
never
lawsuit.
thought of it that way.
And
Did you know that all the time? Or did you find that out
no,
recently?
that was well known for a number of years.
Well,
You
I miss that because I I hate to think in terms of that in today's world, and especially the mindfuck is with that is that there are more Latins than there are blacks in today's game,
but
and
not in umpiring and not in front offices.
uh,
Players, yes, but not in umpiring. Okay, so and front office people as well. So that was a sticking point. But
yeah.
enough about Angel Hernandez. Okay, let's talk about the Mets
Let's
because
indeed.
right now the Mets have won four out of their last five. So we're at a high point.
Yes. And probably 12 games. They've won, what, five, six, nine out of their last 12.
Nine out of the last 12.
Okay.
Uh, Unbelievably, they're only three games out of the final wild card spot in the National League, which is rather amazing to think about.
Well,
But so
it cheapens the game, no matter if you're a Met fan, no matter what, that their mediocrity puts them in a position where if you make the playoffs, it's kind of a dice roll. And because as fans, we've been put through hell this year, twice counted out from even competing. Uh, this kind of talk, 3 games out of a potential wild card, twice we would have been amazed that it's come this far. Frankly,
there,
it's not fun for me to watch.
it's still the Mets. It's still baseball. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
still watch.
I, I do. I listen to it. It. I listen to any game and it's going to be fun, but they put us through hell where we've counted them out a number of times and put ourselves through hell by thinking, well, April 4th, we shouldn't be counting them out quite as much. Um, Robert, you're always the clear head on that. Appreciate your being for that. What do you think of being 76 going on 77?
Um, it's a little intimidating. When you think back, uh, you know, there's more road behind us than ahead of us, but we're still here. So you gotta enjoy it. You gotta stay active And I think that's the secret is you stay active, I stay active, and you know, you keep on going.
Yeah. It's realizing it's always from this point on, and from of our lives when we experience mortality, grandparents, parents, it's all bittersweet. It's never going to be the same as when my grandmother took me for a ride in the stroller. It's never going to be the same when I experienced the Bronx and the parks. The grandparents took me to parks when I was a kid. They had me the first 5 years of my life while my parents basically traveled. Um, and they didn't mind doing that. They missed out on the first 5 years of my life, but I had doting grandparents. But it's never going to be the same after that. And life is changes and adopting, adoption. That's a Freudian slip, if only. But I feel like Larry David when on that episode when he thought he was adopted. And I understand Larry. My God, that was a piece of comedy that was so well done. That's my tribute to Larry David. That um, he thought he was adopted by Gentiles in the Midwest, and he got to spend some time out with them. It was an episode or an arc that was beyond comedy, and you're coping with the changes. I know that to be a fact, Robert.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, when you're 39 going to 40, it's you know, it's a jarring thing. From 69 to 70 is jarring. Okay. Then all
Yeah.
of a sudden you're 65, 75, you know, all
And
those.
it goes so freaking fast. That's what
Oh,
amazes me. I
right now, right now it's crazy how fast it goes.
Yes, the last 10 years has um it didn't seem that way until I woke up one day and it was and boom.
But so
Yeah.
isn't it? But isn't life kind of like that? I mean, okay, so think about it when you're a little kid. You guys talk a lot about, baseball and growing up and stuff like that. How long? I mean, it seemed like it was an entire lifetime before you could get to double digits, right? Before you even got to 10, it seemed like,
Right.
oh my God, if I gotta live another day in this existence as a kid, you don't realize that's the time of your life.
Yeah.
Those are the wonder years. That's the time. You're wanting to get past it. I remember even being a single parent and raising my kids. I'm like, I just gotta make it through my day. I gotta make it through my day without, wanting to step in front of a train or go drop off my kids at the fire department or whatever. I was like, oh, you can turn in your kids at the fire department if you can't take care of them even when they're 15, 16. And so
Yeah.
it's like,
Well,
really, will they watch them for me? So
oh, they'll watch him.
they'll watch them forever. So here's the problem is that it seems as we get older, a blink of an eye, and almost literally every year just seems to go that much quicker. And you're like, where did the time go? And then you start losing friends. Even here, I'm in my 50s and I'm losing friends. I was saying the same thing you told me last week. I'm afraid to get on social media because I'm afraid to see who's sick or in the hospital or they have a GoFundMe because they have cancer or I mean, every day
Yeah.
it's something. And then every day I have a new ailment. It's like I said, I hurt my back the other day, and my wife had gone, "What did you do?" And I slept wrong.
Yeah.
I slept wrong. I remember it was like, "Oh, what's wrong with your back?" Well, I was loading concrete bags for 12 hours, and okay, that's why I heard.
You helped move a light fixture that will produce
Oh, jeez, yeah, we produced a
in
lot of
in the
cannabis.
future. Um,
Yeah, so, but then I look at other things that really kind of get to me as I get older too. So I've always had a problem with flying. I don't really like flying. I'll do it if I have to. Like we took a plane to the Caribbean because didn't want to swim, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't like cruise ships. I don't like being out in the middle of the water on a big old floating petri dish, if you will.
Then don't
And
go.
it's so
Watch a newsreel.
and so when we went to the Caribbean, I'd won a all expenses paid trip to the Caribbean, and I took my wife, and it was great, but I was afraid of the plane the whole time. Now, what is it? What was it? The Boeing? The Boeing that the door flew off because they couldn't tighten bolts, right? And stuff. And then it was like last week, they had it, what is it called? The Boeing Starliner capsule went into outer space. Should Boeing be going to outer space? They can't even make it to Ontario. Why are they going to outer space?
I saw a clip from the late Geechee Guy. I don't know if you know Geechee, but
No.
Facebook friend and a comedian from way back.
Okay.
And he said that his car costs $500 and a light goes on when the door is open. They can't put that on a Boeing something.
Yeah,
like
they
that.
can't even put the little hazard light, little idiot light on it.
And the clip was done, obviously, at least 6-7 months ago when
Before this thing.
before Geechee died.
So I love that. So that's one thing I get really excited about as a writer is I write monologues a lot, and I used to perform every week at least, and every one of my monologues would be based on whatever was happening in the news that week. And it was me poking fun at, poking fun or what is it? I'm calling out to power and all these other things and all these other assholes in the world. And so I would find
Good luck with that.
well, I would find myself making comments about things that wouldn't even hit the news for like a week, 3 weeks, a month and a half, because you would have to go. I would write down a monologue and then I would go watch the late night TV shows. I guess back in the day it would have been going to make sure Johnny wasn't going to tell my joke.
But you understood, did mankind, the unwashed masses understand? And isn't that the most frustrating part of comedy, when you have something
That's
right and it's too good for the audience?
or you're not, yeah, because you don't want to play down to your audience. You want your audience to kind of
Right.
you don't want to play down. You want them to be just as smart as you and
Or
just as
like
quick
me,
as you.
your skills don't provide for getting it across how you'd like, or your skills provide for it, but when you get on stage, you don't have the concentration for that. I found that to
It's
be
really
true.
easy for me to kind of, let's say, remember what I'm doing. For one, it's something I've written. Two, it's something I really believe. For most of the time, I put something under a microscope and blow it way out of proportion. I guess they call it comedic distortion. And so one of my first bits I did back in '08, and again, cell phones were only around for about 6 years, 5 years, and they weren't even really smartphones, but everybody's on their device. They were constantly on their device. And I was talking about how my kids, even when they weren't in front of a device, they had this ambient glow on their face. And it was almost like it was like the cancer hit or something. And then I said, oh, you've seen the evolutionary chart where it has, Cro-Magnon man all the way up to upright man. And they has the chart. It kind of goes like this. Within about 2 or 3 generations, that chart's going to go the opposite way, because we're constantly holding our devices. Our heads are down. That's like 75 foot-pounds on the pressure on the back of your neck.
Knowledge we're taking in.
They're not taking in knowledge. They're watching cat videos. They're not using this as a tool. That's the problem.
Do you know the advantage of good pussy?
Uh-oh.
Okay.
What's the advantage?
Robert, let's talk about the Mets. And I always enjoy Paulie B, and I always enjoy your company, Robert. And our relationship evolved when I saw things in light of that there's no good thing as a conservative. I always thought that if you're a Trumpian, you, conservatives are all Trumpian. You're conservative, but you're far from being a Trumpian, and it took me a while to realize that. And I see the goodness in Robert now that I realize that. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, you have to remember something, okay? I'm a Republican. Okay? Trump was not a Republican. He is not a Republican. He never will be a Republican.
But
Okay?
he's getting the Republican base. Is this not? How can we stop this? Combining the Supreme Court, Justice Thomas and Alito, and not recusing themselves. How can we turn this around?
It's going to be difficult because Trump opened the closet door and let all the crazies out. And
Reagan
they
did
made
that
it so it
by
was
closing the
mainstream for them.
hospitals. But Reagan was the start of that. By closing the mental hospitals, he was directly responsible for homelessness and people not getting help and being on the streets, and that's tragic. And if you combine veterans with that, America is where is our compass? And that's rhetorical, of course. But what's going to change it, Robert?
Okay.
I'm
See,
reaching out to my man.
those were policies. Okay, you could discuss policy, but what's going on now is craziness.
Right.
Trump's not talking about policies. Marjorie Taylor Greene doesn't talk about policies. Okay? And that's the difference. The MAGA crowd is a cult. It's not a political party.
Can you imagine where the 34 counts of felonious shit to curtail an election, stop an election? We're not even talking about the insurrection. We're talking about deceiving the public. And then when it comes out you're guilty, your popularity goes up, and people say, "Oh, if he's in prison, I'll vote for him." And a woman who knows what the ideology does to their bodies will vote Republican. There's craziness going on that I'm glad I'm 77. How are you going to live? We both have sons. We both have kids that are going through life with
But
in relationships with women. It's not about womanhood. It's about humanity, and the I've just touched on a small part of it. Okay.
yeah, and it's just what's going on. You have like Taylor Swift. Okay, the Republicans go crazy, over everything she does, and all she does is get young women to think about themselves and their bodies and to ask them to vote. She hasn't come out and endorsed anybody, and yet it makes the MAGA people, I shouldn't say Republicans, I should say the MAGAs, absolutely go crazy, about what she's doing, and she's hurting the youth of America.
If she
I
wants
mean,
these people to vote, why is she portrayed as a liberal?
well, that's just the thing. Anybody who's not a MAGA is a liberal. Okay. Now, that I'm far from being a liberal, and yet that's what I'm, typecast as a liberal because I don't believe in Trump. I don't believe in the MAGAs. I think they're bad for the country. So in their minds, I'm a liberal.
Well, it's all ideology. Put your own words to it. I don't think you could get around to pulling the lever for Trump. That's all.
No,
I just
no.
want basic human beings around me, and let's real quickly go to the Nueva York Mets. Your New York Mets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, they've won 4 out of the last 5. I think they're starting to get things together. Mark Vientos has been put at third base,
Much time.
okay, on a more or less permanent basis,
One out.
and he gives them some power. The overriding question right now is what's going to happen with Alonso. Is he going to stay with the Mets to the end, and then he'll be a free agent? If he becomes a free agent, we know the Mets can match any offer. You know, Steve Cohen's got deep pockets, deep pockets, so they can match any offer. And the question is, does he want to stay a Met? Once he hits free agency, you know, he'll have his choice. He knows the Mets' money will be there, but does he want to come back to the Mets? And I think that's a big overriding question right now.
And if he
Um,
doesn't, I would say that if they spent the money on player development, scouting, and what have you, and um, develop for the future, they might be better off because things are what they are. And he's a Boros guy, and the price of signing him, maybe, I don't know. I'm a fan. I'd love for them to do it. Is it worth it economically to sign him? I'm asking
well, they,
you.
they they are putting the money into the scouting. They are putting the money into the farm system anyway. Okay. We know Cohen wants to get a contender and a World Series winner eventually. Okay. Um, yeah, if he wants to come back to the Mets, I think that would be a good thing. But I don't even know whether he's going to make it past the trading deadline. If David Stearns, the general manager, sees that he can get some sort of a package, okay, he's going to pull the trigger. He's going to do it.
Okay. Um, Tell me about McNeil, Dougie Flynn. What the hell is happening with him?
It's interesting. 2 years ago he won the batting championship. Okay, and he did it using an unconventional bat. It was a bat without a knob. It looked like an axe handle. Okay, for whatever reason, last year he decided to go to a traditional bat. Okay, he suffered. I think his average went down to 250 or 260. He started this year again with the traditional bat. He was struggling. He went back to his old bat without the knob, and all of a sudden he was hitting again. Unfortunately, now he's not hitting again, and there's a big problem, and he very well could be traded. The Seattle Mariners are very interested in him. Um,
Well, have they mentioned getting some pitching back in return?
they have young pitching. Okay, they're going to sign somebody major in the off season. Um, I think that's a for sure. Hopefully by next year, Kendai Senga is recovered. This young guy, Christian Scott, who came up and had 4 or 5 good starts. They sent him back to the minors because they were going to have a lot of days off with this London trip, and I expect that they'll be bringing him back up after they get back home. They have a starting staff basically made up of guys on 1-year contracts, so they can easily shed those guys. I think a number of those guys, Minaya, Severino, may also get traded at the trading deadline. And I think that was the idea of signing them in the first place. And
Okay,
then
may I
you
ask
try to
about
get some younger
Diaz?
players.
May I ask about Diaz?
Well, I don't know exactly what happened with him. Okay, it's a mental thing right now, obviously. Um, did he really have an injury when they put him on the IL? I don't know, but I'm sure the league office is looking into it because their GM from last year got suspended for the whole year because he was doing that last year.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I'm pretty sure the Diaz had some sort of an injury.
Bittersweet. We mentioned about life. Bittersweet about being a Mets fan. Robert,
Well, we have long periods of bitterness, and then we have the sweetness of 69, the sweetness of 86,
and
and a lot of dreams.
73. Don't ever forget the injuries at the beginning of that season
Yep.
and how that affected them, and then their comeback. And they had polls in the newspaper in 73. Cashin and Berra, every day you'd have to check off that should they be fired. And so the New York press was so outrageously difficult that it made great. It was the only World Series I ever attended. I talked to Nancy Finley, who loved the sixth game of the 73 series, and I hated the six. I was there, and I went home. I was an insurance recruiter, and I had this guy named Bob Johnson, and we just went to a ball game to enjoy ourselves, Bob Johnson said. But I was deadly serious about that game, and I saw no good that came out of that because I knew they'd lose the next game. But looking back in the memories, I'd rather have that 73 season than the 86 season for different reasons. Um, the 86 season, a guy named Perlman wrote a book, The Bad Guys Won. They were,
Yes.
um, elaborate on
It,
that, if you would, Robert.
it was a wild group. Davy Johnson was a, you know, laissez-faire manager, let the boys be boys, when they tore up a hotel room when they, won the pennant. They tore up the plane. Frank Cashin went in, and had a bill that he, wanted to give to Davy Johnson for 50, $60,000 of damage that they had done. Okay, and Davy Johnson said, "Hey, we just won. You take that bill and put it where you know." And it was just a wild team. Keith
Yeah.
Hernandez, Darryl Strawberry, Wally Backman, and Lenny Dykstra. Lenny Dykstra is probably certifiably crazy. Um, it was just a crazy team, but they were good.
They
They were
were
good.
good. It was a different era than um,
The
the
73 team,
steroids. It was a Coke era, no question
yes,
about it. And
yes.
I never did much Coke. I did a few lines, literally 4 lines in a lifetime. It had no effect on me, but I've seen the effects on other people, and
Although, you know what? Maybe that was your gateway drug. It led you right to marijuana.
no, I was doing marijuana from the start,
Okay.
and
I
I
just
was
thought I'd ask.
afraid of needles. So my mother knew that I would never do needles, and I knew the effects of white powder was not good. Intrinsically, I knew how I felt on pot, and I knew I did some study, and I did some early on study on myself in the medicinal value of using it as a combination of Valium, or whatever. I have never used it to get high. I've used it for the feeling of goodness, but that's not a high. That should be one's typical uh, daily basis. So I don't say I'm doing it to get high. I'm doing it to feel good, and I'm doing it for medicinal purposes. I see the goodness in that, and it's I'm not trying to sell it. There are, as Paulie and I have talked about, um, with Melody.
Miss Melody and
Melody Montgomery, the seniors are benefiting from it most of all, and they came to it late for the most part. So her instruction on what to do in a group in in Oakland is for seniors is much appreciated. I know in Florida there's no access to any of that, and you know, besides the native Floridians, that's the number one reason I don't live in Florida.
oh,
Really,
it's just that in the people. Okay,
yes,
gotcha. That's all. Just a little thing.
That's all, because let's put it this way: the transplants, like you're a transplant in New York, there's a difference in being a transplant than being a Southerner. Um, it's ideology, it's mindset, it's Copenhagen, spitting on my shoes, shit like that. In any event, Robert, I am hoping you will keep coming back and letting us ramble at you. And
Oh, absolutely.
um,
Hey, I want to know what you and Paulie are cooking up. You keep teasing that, you got these great things coming up.
Oh,
What
oh,
are
so
they?
we can talk about it with you. Don't worry, no one's listening. So here we go. So no, we can share all this with you. The one thing I gotta say is that I'm a comedian through and through. I'll switch our cameras in just a moment once I finish doing this heavy duty work here. That uh, I I love doing this. I love doing what we do. I love communicating with people. Now that I'm finished doing my business here, I had to I had to finish something. I had to finish my pre-roll. If you guys didn't see, I had to roll something up. You guys didn't need to see me lick the end of that thing. Um, but so we're doing a lot of things. We're just trying to get people. We're really excited about getting people to express themselves in this environment. And Zig and I have been running into more and more people that have a voice. What did you say? Their opinion. They have opinions, but they're not opinionated. We have a lot of people that want to express themselves, but they don't know exactly how they want to do it. And
Hmm.
so we want to bridge that gap. Um, like it seems like even when we talk to you, Robert, it's like it's almost like we unleash the Tasmanian devil sometimes. We open up your cage and you come spinning out, and it's great because you express yourself different than Zig does or I do. But we're all kibitzing, right? We're all hanging out. We're all talking what's on our mind. And I'll tell you, that's the most healthiest thing in the world is being able to get stuff out of your brain.
it's cathartic.
It is. It helps you actually work through whatever you're going through personally, whatever's going on in the world. Um, I do it a lot. People will drive by me in the car and I'm just sitting there talking because I'm literally just trying to formulate all the different, synopses and stuff that are snapping off in my brain. But if we took more time expressing ourselves, letting our fellow man know where we're at and what we're doing, I think it's a safer and better place. We kind of get it's kind of a barometer on mental health in the
Yeah.
State of the Union. And so,
Well, a lot of people like myself don't know how to do a podcast.
right.
You know, I go on podcasts. I enjoy going on podcasts, but how do I do one myself?
Well,
That's
and
difficult.
and that's the perfect question. So if you were to ask how you were doing it, you would do it exactly like you're doing it now. You would reach out to us here at Edge Studios and you'd say, hey, you know what? I want to express myself in a positive, creative environment. I've got some ideas. Let's talk it out. And so most of our meetings happen even remotely with people. And I'm like, okay, so what's stuck in your craw? What do you want to get out there? Um, and it could go from week to week. You know, Ralph's constantly in the sandbox of baseball, but he's also into life. He's also into comedy. He's his own Renaissance man, if you will.
Hmm.
Um,
Thank you.
and so he's a multifaceted kind of guy. What really gets his juices, creative juices flowing this week may not be what it is next week, and definitely not what it's going to be the week after. And so, how do we do it? We reach out to us at Edge Studios. You have a conversation with us. You could be sitting in Florida. We could pipe you in. We could make your own graphics, as you see here on Zig's. We have graphics over here in the corner. We've got our graphics over there. We got lower thirds. If you want to talk to people in different places, you can talk to anybody anywhere around the world, like we're talking to Robert here. And so
Hmm.
that's how easy it is. If you can dream it, we can help you achieve your goal.
And if you could get some videos to Paulie to go with whatever it is your topic is, it makes it much more interesting than a traditional audio podcast. And
Well,
I
yeah,
think it's
I think this what you guys are doing, you know, is good. Even just being able to put it on YouTube. You know,
absolutely,
it, it,
absolutely. We do want to monetize it in a way that we haven't been, because it is some good work, and it's fun making your brain work at age 77. I just being
76.
here, 76 for you, but so
Well, and that's the thing is a lot of people don't know the technical end. And so
oh, and I don't know jack shit about any of it without
I like to think of it as you're the talent.
I I like to
We bring
think,
in the talent. You just
and
do the hard work. We do the easy stuff
I
behind the
couldn't
scenes.
even do audio podcasts without having a near nervous breakdown. I let down Hal Bach 2 or 3 times, and there was one or two other people I let down Gabriel Schechter by having my shit put into all storage, and with that was a book that he um, gave me, and I can't find the book. So anytime that happens, because this is supposed to be fun and a good time,
Right.
I feel a tremendous amount of guilt in doing that. Lenny Levine sent me a book that on the Dodgers, a fictional book on the Dodgers. I've done a show with Lenny. I've become tremendously enamored by the fact that he's 83 and he thinks like a 50-year-old.
Right.
And that to me is great. And
hmm
his memory is sharp, as is Feidelberg, as is yours, as is Bernie Rose. I'm talk. We talk to interesting people on this show, but my point is, without Paulie B, this could not be. I couldn't do the shit. I could do the mic. I could interview, and I have the knowledge, but the technical stuff, you've seen me try to do stuff that is almost simple. We could get a trained monkey in there
Right.
with a little winder upper to do some of the things
Well,
that
you've
I
seen the
can't do.
remotes that we've done from your car. The only limitation that we've ever had with the mobile studio in Alameda is that you don't have a solid uh, internet connection. You're literally
Connection.
using
Yeah.
a phone on a
Yeah,
dashboard of a car in the hot sun over there. Well, it's been kind of warm at times.
but it's a BMW that does have an internet connection built in. So it's not the connection, it's the planning, it's the we could do it in emergency, but
Yep.
it's much better in the studio.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's stable like where Robert is now. He's got a laptop. He's able to sit there. He has a stable internet. He has power going to his laptop. He's able to have these conversations. And so I invite you guys, I invite any of you. And of course, we need to make money here at Ed Studios. We want to keep the doors open, but I want to get as many people out there creating as possible. So if you have a desire to do this, and maybe it's money, maybe it's technology, maybe it's multiple things, reach out to us because we can help you try to do some of these things. And even if it's a one-off here and there, maybe you don't want to commit to an hour a week, 4 hours a month, or even double that. Zig's done 8 hours in a month. Even if you don't want to commit to that, and you have a project or an idea, we just talked to somebody that we want to get their dad into the Hall of Fame, the A's Hall of Fame. And so even something like that, Nancy. And so we're going to do a little,
Finley.
Yeah, Nancy Finley. We want to do a little drive to get awareness about her dad being in that A's Hall of Fame. If it's that, or maybe I've done it with my mom. My mom just turned 83 years old. We've done podcasts together where we celebrated her birthday and we went back. We talked about all the different places we moved and lived.
I've listened to that podcast. It's very, very fun.
All
Your
the
mother
animals,
is 83
everything.
and she's still got what we call in the Yiddish tribe, and I'm putting that into quotes for ridiculousness, is the word seichel, which is her marbles. She's still got them all.
Yeah, no, the only marble she's lost is me.
Right.
I've rolled away. But I guess what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter if you're 77 years old or if you're 7 years old. If you
haven't rolled away, you're still there.
Yeah, I'm still there. I'm still. The only thing,
and that's a good thing. So what I invite you to do, just off the top of my head, I hadn't thought of this, Robert, is to on your own get in touch with Peter, because you said you don't even know how to do a podcast, and we've done audio podcasts all this time, and now I've got some newsreel footage, black and white footage. Ed Hurley from the old, you'd go to the movies and you'd see whatever's going on, All-Star Game. I have an incredible amount of footage that I just came across, and we're going to enhance the show that way. So it's going to be cool.
Ed Hurley, he used to do Horn and Hardart commercials, if you remember.
Yes, Ed Hurley, he did all those newsreels when you go to the movies that were.
He was the one that's talked really fast in the newsreels.
There's all kinds of newsreels. This was a baseball.
Here in New York territory.
Right.
That guy.
I can't think of that guy's name. Robert, can you?
Well, that sounded like Walter Winchell.
Yes,
newsreel,
yes. Yeah. Walter Winchell did shit like that. New York radio is great, and you know what? This is all inspired by two shows that I listen to for clarity. Okay, I listen to, for clarity. Here it goes. Long John Nebel, who basically, if you remember Long John Nebel?
WMCA.
And Gene Shepard. And they this this podcast, this video podcast, is all influenced by the way Gene Shepard would rant and be funny and what have you, and bring it all to an end. And Long John Nebel would have people in groups. He had experts that were so totally different. Asimov was one of the people in his group. You could listen to his old stuff, both of them, Shepard and Long John Nebel, on the internet, on YouTube. Their shows were incredibly great, and they sat around, and you know my expression, people who have opinions and passion, not opinionated people. They all got along on the panel, and they didn't have any axe to grind, but they were so totally, incredibly individually. And he didn't have many people, just like you're part of the panel. We'll have you on with Bernie next time, Bernie Rose. You two have always wanted to talk predominantly politics. And
yes,
you two have an incredible array of knowledge and a passion for that shit. So next time you do that, and we are really appreciative of your company, Paulie and I are.
Yeah, Robert, thanks for joining us again. We love hanging out with you, man. I wish you were local. We'd be just sitting here gabbing it all day long, doing our thing.
Take a plane ride. We'll visit the studio, and we'll show you how to be put up. We'll put you up for the day with snacks at the studio.
Yeah, all the free granola bars you can eat. I'm telling you now.
We don't go very far.
Hey, man, no expenses. No.
Water, gladly.
Yes.
And a good time and a tour of San Francisco, and you'd enjoy our company, and we'd enjoy your company. So that could be an experience down the road. Everybody takes vacations. This could be yours. Bring Nancy, am I correct? Is that her name?
Yes.
Then if you brought her out, we'd make sure that we were gentlemen.
There you go.
Which we could do.
We can do on a rare occasion, which is nice.
No, we could do on a regular basis. And so you have a permanent invite, and we'd love to see you.
Now, Robert, do you want to shout anything out before we get going on this one?
Oh, if I start shouting, you won't be able to stop me. So
no,
go
ahead.
We'll let it go.
But how do we keep up with everything that you're doing?
Well, as far as the Mets go, you know, we have a Facebook site called the Mets, from the Polo Grounds to Citi Field. We have 2,500 members in that, and so that's how we do that. Peter and I have a Dodgers site, the Dodgers.
That's Peter Trunk.
Yeah, Peter Trunk, and stuff like that. And that's why, you know, I mentioned, you know, I'd like to start the politics thing. You know, I don't want to do that on my regular Facebook site.
Right.
You know, so I've been thinking about, you know, doing a different Facebook site or trying to do something on YouTube, you know, about that. So,
and we'd be glad to help you with that. We would be glad to help you with that, Robert, if you ever want to do that.
Robert, touch bases with Peter. Peter, touch bases with Robert, and we'll make it all work.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you very much again.
Anytime you want me, give me a ring.
I will. I appreciate your moving it up from an hour today, and I appreciate your patience while we do the technical stuff, which always, whatever technical stuff, it never goes for anybody doing this. And CNN is no exclusion. There are glitches.
I
And
literally watched a show the other day, and they said that they lost an hour and a half, and they have, $1 million studio.
CNN?
No, it was a podcasting studio that was built out in a big vehicle in like an RV type, like double wide trailer,
Right.
and it's like $1 million studio. They literally were recording live. They weren't streaming out. They were recording it in their studio, and their equipment went kaputs, and they literally lost an hour and a half, and they couldn't get it back. And so things happen. We've
Oh,
never
yeah.
had those kind of things, but we usually have curveballs thrown at us, and we usually we know a change up when we're getting thrown the change up, and we adjust and we'll slam it out of the park every time.
And like I tell Paulie, you always get it done. There are times it's very stressful for you.
Oh yeah,
And I say that, and you go, yeah, you're right. I always get it done.
we always do.
So we play off each other well. This has been fun. This is our 21st episode, and that's Cleon Jones. So number 21. What can you say?
All right, so don't forget to come back. We're here every Tuesday from 11 to 1 PST for Zig in the Zone. Go check out his book. Get it on Amazon. You're going to see it in the next page. He's working on the new book. You'll see that soon.
And George Grimm, let's not forget he's struggling health-wise. We have so many people on this network that are struggling, or really strong friends of the network who are struggling physically, and we think that sucks.
And we're here to support you. We love you. And just keep rocking. Keep doing what you're doing.
Okay.
And thanks, guys. We'll see you guys next week. For myself, Zig, and Robert Cole, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Subscribe on Facebook and on YouTube. And we'll be there for you. We have 3,200 episodes. In addition to the 21 videos, we have 3,200, and that's a lot of episodes over 12 years of
Comfortably zoned.
Comfortably zoned audio podcasts, and I'm very proud of that. And so keep the faith, baby.
All right. Till next time, guys. We'll see you in the zone.